Computer. All right. It looks like we're going. Welcome to episode 1 of Reset University. We are very excited to be here. My name is Ross Poindexter, here with Mr. Brandon Straker, aka the Bot of Thunder.
What's up, guys?
How's it going today, Brandon?
Man, I'm pumped. This is our first episode of the Reset University, the Reset U podcast, man.
Absolutely. It's been in the works for a while. We've been all talk, and we just decided to go for it.
I know. And I think, I guess, what do we start with? One of the things that I think that's a perfect kind of metaphor, like how we decided to do this today with what you got to kind of do with fitness and stuff, right, man? I mean, sometimes you don't know where to go, what to do, but you just kind of sometimes you just got to take action and stuff and then figure it out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's how you get anywhere. That's how you achieve anything, right? You know, you get started, you take action, you totally fuck it up, and then you figure out what changes you need to make. You know what I mean? And so I mean, that's what we're doing today, with episode 1. We're going to jump into, resetting the body, mind, and really talk to people about what we teach at Reset U. And then, and that's one of the big things right there, right?
Exactly. And we hope to just kind of provide some insight and value to your life. And hopefully we can do that today.
Yeah.
So where do you want to start, Brandon?
I guess, first of all, the podcast is brought to you by Reset U, where we teach people how to reset their hormones, their body, their movement patterns, their imbalances, and as well as their mind, and that's the biggest factor. One of the things and I was just on the phone with a new client that we really try to impress upon people is that, when it comes to, getting permanent results, when it comes to losing fat, keeping it off, being as healthy as you want to be, it really all boils down to, your hormones, right?
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah. And unfortunately, one of the things that we're really going to be talking a lot about and what the real future holds with this podcast is really just teaching you guys, everybody out there that, when it comes to getting permanent results that, for most, of the last, 50, 100 years since getting in shape was important, right? We've been kind of taught that you got to move more and you got to eat less if you want to be in shape.
Yep.
And what's crazy is it's just, people's health has just gotten worse from following that approach, and so we're really looking forward to teaching people the truth behind it. 80% of the country takes that move more, eat less approach at least once a year, where they're just, cutting their calories, moving their body more. But, most of, over 60% of our nation's obese now or some shit like that. Right.
Something like that.
So, yeah.
Too high.
And so that kind of goes to show us that either there's something wrong with that, with what we're teaching or I shouldn't even say with what we've been taught. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or that everybody's just stupid and lazy. And, I have a hard time believing, there's a lot of fucking stupid, lazy people out there. Right. But,
but we're the most active, country in the world, right?
Exactly. I think the statistic is we work out on average 135 days per year, more than any other country, but we're the most obese.
Yeah. So you got to just from those stats right there, something's not adding up.
Yeah, exactly. And so if the answer was just moving your body more, we wouldn't be so obese. What it really boils down to is just this 21st century lifestyle. It's so different than it was 100 years ago or 200 years, or hell, even 50 years ago. It's so different. You can, look, I'm sitting here drinking this energy drink, right? And we go to gas stations and just buy nothing but bullshit all the time. People are buying, when I was in there buying this, I heard I had one guy ahead of me buying a soda and a hot dog, and you had other people buying bags of chips. And hell, I had there's a guy this morning, they're buying like the two for what, like $5, the giant 40-ounce beers and stuff first thing this morning, you know, like
10 a.m. starting strong.
I know, fuck. I mean, who doesn't like to party, right? But I mean, like that's you know, you got to imagine like 100 years ago, like it wasn't that convenient to be so unhealthy. Like it was hard to be that unhealthy, but it just wasn't as convenient either.
Exactly.
So, and you know, that's really, you know, what we were trying to teach people is what it boils down to. It's not about move more and eat less. It's really about, you know, how this 21st century lifestyle has messed up our hormones.
Totally. And I think that's kind of the first step of, you know, like we were talking about resetting your mind, is kind of accepting the fact that what you've been taught isn't necessarily working out the way that it should be for you.
Exactly.
And so adjusting your mindset and kind of being more open-minded to do new things in order to get real results is, I think, the first step in resetting your mind. What do you think?
Hell, I mean, absolutely, bro. 100%. Because think about it, like what's crazy with fitness is like, even though there's not like, there can be some science to support certain things or pseudoscience to support like all these different beliefs that people hold about being fit. But there's this certain set of beliefs that most people hold about being fit, right? Like, you got to eat breakfast every day, or you got to eat 6 meals a day, or you can't eat fat, or you can't, like, there's these, or you got to do a ton of cardio, or there's just all these like beliefs that I think we can all agree on that most people think are true, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And like really what it boils down to is, even though there's not a ton of science supporting those, they've just been repeated for so long, right?
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, that people just accept it widely, right? And like if you go against those in most areas, and the science is getting much better now. Like, let's face it, there's a big movement with keto and intermittent fasting and a lot of the different stuff that people are doing. There's a big movement, you know, away from a lot of that stuff. But even still, like for most people, they're just, you know, in the fitness industry, if you don't adhere to those beliefs, then you're just called an idiot, you know, when there's not a lot supporting them. They've just been repeated so many times that I think most people just accept it as truth, right?
Yeah, 100%. And going along with that, you know, it kind of goes along with adjusting your mindset, not having to eat breakfast any morning. A lot of people I speak with on the phone, you know, on a daily basis, tell me, you know, I'm not even really hungry in the morning. I just eat because I feel like I have to. And so it's such a common belief. And yeah, you know, getting around that's the first step.
Yeah, man, I hear that all the time too, right? Isn't
it?
I mean, it's wild because people will say, man, I'm not really a breakfast person. I fucking hate getting up and eating right away. I'm really hungry. And like when like certain people we talk to, like with our clients, when we're able to say, hey, like you don't have to like eat breakfast first thing in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know? They're just like, thank goodness. And I used to be in that boat too. I mean, hell, we used to all think that like you had to eat breakfast if you wanted to be lean first thing in the morning or right after you got up, and that it stoked the metabolic fire or whatever, right?
Yep.
And like I think of how inconvenient that shit was, you know, like
dude, yeah.
Not only is it useless, but I remember having to get up, and it seems like it's about, like I've been doing the fasting thing for so long now, right? You know,
yeah, hard to even remember not like needing to eat breakfast in the morning, but even just like eating so much throughout the day, like 6 to 8 meals or whatever.
Yeah,
dude, how can you? I don't even remember what it's like to think about that. Like,
right.
I just ate. Oh man, how am I going to eat again in 2 more hours? Like,
yeah, well, I remember all those years of working at the gym, right? And like I would bring food with me, or if not, I was buying a shake or a bar or something every couple of hours. And
exactly.
And then like the getting up for breakfast thing, it was like you woke up and you're like, well, fuck, I got to get breakfast in, right? So you're like, you know, if like, and you know, I'm not a big snooze button guy anymore, you know, but like there was definitely a time when I worked at the gym where like I fucked off in the morning, right? You know, like I would like oversleep, I'd hit the snooze button. I just really wasn't happy to be, you know, I liked being in that environment, but I really wasn't happy with the company I was working with and all that sort of stuff, you know, but like, so I like, you know, just fucking hit snooze and stuff and stayed up too late the night before. And then I remember getting out of bed and being like, well, shit, I gotta get some food in me, you know? So it'd be like either got to make a protein shake real quick. So you're shaking up a shake on your way out the door with maybe some water that just tastes like ass just so you can get something in you. Right.
Yeah,
or like,
yeah.
or you're, or maybe if I was, if I had a little extra time, maybe I'd blend something. Or there was a good portion of time where it was like, well, I got to eat breakfast. Cause I used to tell people you're better off eating something, even if it's not that good for you, than eating nothing.
Yeah.
Which is total bullshit. So then like,
your body.
Yeah. And I remember going to Starbucks and grabbing like a breakfast sandwich or going to like, Porta Subs and grabbing like a breakfast or like a breakfast burrito or breakfast sandwich or wrap or something like that.
Yeah.
Just so I had something in me.
Yeah. And just eating off convenience and
Right.
not focusing on the quality of food that you should be having. And that's what kind of blew my mind initially is just like how shitty convenient food is for you.
Yeah.
Like people like even just like even things that say they're like organic and stuff like that, or like, even just like getting one of those to-go salads at a convenience store, at a grocery store or whatever, like it's still, most of that stuff's still shitty, and people like don't believe it just because it's a salad,
Yeah.
And little things like that just add up and attribute to you not hitting your goals, and it's a big issue, and that's part of the problem right there.
Yeah, I mean those small things, they do add up, man, and like dude, it's so wild to me, like looking back and thinking that too, all that different stuff that you even thought was healthy that we were eating at the time.
Yeah.
I remember like, because we were taught you need to eat protein every couple hours, and so like I think back and I would eat like a turkey sandwich and stuff from Subway or something like that, on this wheat
For
bread.
sure.
So inflammatory and stuff like that. You think you're eating healthy, and then you're trying to eat low fat, and then you're eating a protein bar in between that maybe has 20 grams of carbs or some shit, and then
grab
you're
a meal replacement bar or something like that, where you think you're getting a whole meal within this one little bar,
Exactly, man. And and it's just so many carbs and so many just inflammatory ingredients. And it really comes down to the way the industry marketed this stuff for so long, right? They told people, I mean, it's brilliant. They told everybody, hey, you got to eat 6 times a day, which is also bullshit. You don't have to eat 6 times a day, but people go and think, well, I got to eat breakfast. I got to eat every 2 hours. If I don't, my metabolism's going to slow down. And then they're grabbing these protein bars because it says protein on it, not really realizing that it like has all the same, a lot of the same ingredients as a candy bar,
Yeah, exactly.
And so like we make it like the industry made it so inconvenient for people to be fit. And then also too, you're still not really even eating shit that human beings were meant to eat. And so then people don't get results. And then they're spending all this time doing cardio, which sucks, staring at a, fucking treadmill, counting down the minutes till you can finally be off of it, right?
Yeah, people try to cover up. Yeah, the only thing you can do there, try to cover up how long you're on there with a towel or some shit, and just hope for the best,
Yeah, exactly. And then hopefully when you peek underneath, you're going to be closer to done, right? And then people don't get results from it, like you don't get that there. And how fucking frustrating is that shit, right? Like you don't get results from doing all this stuff that you don't like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, you don't know any better. So like a lot of people, they've been doing all this shit they don't like to do, all this stuff that's inconvenient. They're still eating all these carbs thinking they're eating healthy, but they're not, and then they're like doing cardio, which pales in comparison to weights. And then they don't get results. And then like, how easy is it to hit the fucking button at that point? Right.
Yep.
And then they blame themselves for not being able to stick with it. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Because obviously, progress is, got to be the biggest motivator out there for most people. So if you're grinding on the treadmill every day, you're eating all these meals every day, going at it strong for 3 to 4 weeks, but you're not seeing results, why the hell is somebody going to keep doing that?
Exactly.
So, yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest, surprises with people that we work with, at Reset U, is that just a week of doing what's right for you and your body and specifying that's what really gets you results. And just like people like learn all these facts about inflammatory ingredients and inflammatory foods, and it just blows people's minds. And just crazy how I remember how we were talking just yesterday about how when you have inflammation for so long, you just kind of live with it. You don't really know the side effects of it and what it feels like. But then when you lose all that inflammation, and you're consistent with that, eating the right foods, you start to realize, damn, I feel good.
Yeah. Like I think that's huge, because a lot of times, like, we were talking about yesterday how people don't realize how shitty they feel until they start to feel good.
Yeah. Because you're just living with it. And that's not really living. Obviously that's, surviving. And that's something that nobody wants to do. Everyone wants to be that best version of themselves, but you just get so comfortable with your current state. And that's where people just suffer.
Well, people think it's normal, right? So I was talking to this lady just a little while ago, and she's like, yeah, I just thought it was normal for your stomach to hurt after you ate something. Or I just thought it was normal for you to have to like take a nap after you ate, and just kind of like, oversleep all the time and always be tired. I just kind of thought that's what happened as you get older, she's 28,
Right.
And so like, it was, it was a real good conversation, because like, I think that's the way a lot of people are, is they just like, from the time people are young, their parents are feeding them a lot of this junk, and they're, and then they're like eating all these processed foods, and people are getting, autoimmune disorders at earlier and earlier ages. And even when they do think they're eating healthy, a lot of times it's still processed food. And so then people just they're feeling crappy at younger and younger ages, and it becomes like, it's normal, but it's not, right? It's normal in the sense that like the majority of people feel like that. So like, it's normal in that sense, but it's not normal to feel like that really at any age, but definitely at such a young age,
Yeah.
And when that does become your normal, and then all of a sudden it's weird to feel really good, it's like shocking. And then, it's,
Yeah.
And so, and I think that's something that like is really like, you really hit the nail on the head there. Like, it blows a lot of people's minds. And the other thing, like you said, like, people see results fast, right? When you have shit dialed in, and like the exact foods and macros and your workouts designed for your body. And when things are like built like that, the human body has an amazing ability to transform very fast. People don't realize how fast it happens when you do shit right, because nobody's doing things right. So people always think, well, I hear people all the time say, well, it doesn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's the kind of bullshit. Like, it happens fast when you do things right, but just most people haven't,
Mm-hmm. And totally. And if you think about it, like, going from a nutrition standpoint, when you're getting all this inflammation, to a fitness standpoint, it's the same type of thing. You talk to so many people who are like, oh yeah, I know my knee bugs me when I run, or if I get up and walk for a while, but it's just, that's just how it is. That's just how it is. And
like that old Louis C.K. bit he used to have. You remember that? Did you ever hear that one where he's like, well, where you go to the doctor because your knee's hurting, and the doctor says, yeah, your knee's just shitty now. Like, I feel like that's how a lot of people feel. Is like,
for sure,
now, which isn't the case, right?
Yeah, exactly. And some people just attribute it to their weight and where they're at, but it's not always that. If everybody's got different muscular imbalances, and so it's important to make sure that your workout is dialed in specific to those imbalances, so that you're not just living with that knee pain, you're actually correcting it. Right.
Exactly. And so like, that's, with that combined with the nutrition, like, that's the biggest thing that we teach at Reset U. And so for everybody who's listening, like, when if you're in a spot where you just feel like you're stuck, like, or you feel like, your knee's just shitty now, or,
Mm-hmm.
you just like nothing will work for your diet. The biggest area that people miss is like, you have to have a plan. There's not a one size fits all approach. You have to
Exactly.
have a plan that's built for your individual body, that's
Mm-hmm.
built to correct these certain things. Like, and the biggest one, is going to be your hormones. Hormones control everything, whether you lose fat, build muscle, your sex drive, sexual function, whether you feel happy, sad, depressed,
Yeah.
how old you live to be. Hormones control everything. And most people just feel like that move more, eat less approach, that one size fits all thing. The big problem with that is it's a Band-Aid. It doesn't fix the big problem, which is ultimately our hormones or imbalances if you're in pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so like when it comes to resetting our hormones and metabolism, we have to make sure that like we have a plan, specifically designed to fix what hormones are imbalanced and stuff, based on your body, how much muscle you have, how much fat you have, and so on. And then when it comes to getting rid of that pain, you have to have a plan designed for those imbalances. A lot of people, how many times do we hear it, right? Where people just go, well, my knees hurt. So if they don't think it's just that their knees are just shitty, a lot of people go, well, I know just once I lose this weight, I'll feel better.
Yeah, and that's all they think is gonna do.
Right.
Once I lose it's kind of what I was saying. Once I lose this weight, everything's gonna get better. So let me just keep doing what I'm doing,
Right.
and then it's just
Which,
a never-ending cycle.
yeah, plenty of us who like don't carry a lot of extra weight, we've still had our fair share of pain. It's
Dude,
not like, yeah,
even just from like sports and stuff.
Mhm.
If you're not doing the right recovery techniques or warm-ups, correctly, you're going to get knee pain, you're going to get hip pain or back pain or shoulder pain, whatever. I played volleyball in high school. I wasn't very good, but I played it, right? And I'm 5'10". How am I going to be good at volleyball, right?
Co-ed or
No, we were good, man. We were varsity. I was varsity. We played won sections twice. We were the real deal.
How many schools were involved?
Just like 3, but like we were the best.
But the best out of 3. That's better than the best out of 2, bro.
No, we went to Best of the West.
Were you playing other high schools, or was it like 2 elementary schools, or?
Yeah, no, there was a junior high team in there, and they were pretty good.
But they talked a lot of shit. Huh?
Oh, dude, they were badass, dude. I was intimidating, Senior year in high school, man, I couldn't do shit. But anyways, lots of jumping, not doing the right warm-ups and not doing the proper stretching. Frankly, I just didn't even think that shit was important, right?
Mm-hmm.
Years down the line, my knees messed up for, years. And I was one of those people who just kind of lived with it, and maybe did some temporary shit, but nothing ever got better. Until we started, learning the right techniques and the right movements in order to fix your body. And I think that's a lot of where it comes from. I've talked to a lot of people who kind of had that similar story. So
yeah, 100%, man. Like, and I mean, I'll up the ante a little bit on you right now, bro. Like, fuck, I knew a lot of this shit for a long time. Yeah. But unless you like take it serious, because like, I'll be honest with you, especially guys, like I think women are a little bit better at being like, yo, like I need help. But I think us as guys, it's really easy to be like, I'm fucking fine. And I'm like, we feel like we're Superman and like nothing's ever gonna, bring us down. And so like, I would teach people all this stuff for years and not fucking do it myself, man.
Yeah.
And then I paid the price hard because like, number one, like I ended up tearing an Achilles tendon when I was like 25 for not doing the right shit. Mm-hmm. And you would think that would be enough to like, be like, hey, dickhead, like maybe you should, follow your own advice. But then it gets really easy to get back into the habit of, not doing that, and then next thing you know, like, a few years back, right before we started Reset U, I was playing horse. I wasn't even playing real basketball, playing horse with a girl.
Oh man, story time. That's
right. And so like, first of all, I was whooping her ass. Like, just so we're clear, like she was taking like a beating. It was HRS to H. Okay. Yeah. Or no, I didn't even have an H yet. I was trying to give her an H, but it was HRS to H. I didn't even have a letter yet.
Yeah.
So like, just so we're clear before I get into like how, like what happened, like I was dominating this chick, right?
Yeah.
And so,
wow, so impressive, dude.
It was an impressive game. I was draining them. But I went to do a layup to like throw her a bone, no pun intended.
Sure.
To throw her a bone. And so like I go to do this layup, and as I go to do the layup, I completely blow out my patella tendon on my left leg and then land on my right ankle and break that. So like I couldn't walk for months,
Wow.
And it was all because like a week prior to that, like I went out, I didn't do my stretches, I didn't do my foam roll, and I just like cold grab some weight and like go to squat. And it's not like my form was bad, but from not, taking care of my body, things being tight, I ended up compensating and did enough damage to my patella tendon. And while doing that exercise, the moment I go to just do a layup, boom, it's gone. And then in coming back from that, like it was just like, a whole host of other issues from compensating after that. And it's so important that we understand that, like, that shit's important, man. You can't just look past it, because it gets a lot harder to be fit when you're fucked up, Oh,
100%. And, that's a great story and everything, but I feel like we're just beating around the bush and not talking about the fact that you just completely blew out your leg doing a layup in horse. Let's get back to that. How'd you feel after you fell?
Fuck, bro. Like, so I was
maybe not physically, but like mentally.
Emotionally, like I was hurt, like I was hurt, like it hurt my pride. What's actually really crazy about it is, so like after I couldn't even get up. First of all, I was fucked.
You couldn't even finish the game. You couldn't.
No, I couldn't. Like, and so technically, like I lost by forfeit.
Wow.
Which also like that hurts your pride. Like, talk about adding insult to injury, pun intended.
Totally.
But like, talk about adding insult to injury. But fuck, dude. Then like Glenn had to take me to the hospital, and so I wouldn't get an ambulance. So they were like rolling me out like in an office chair to his car, and I'm like almost passing out and shit.
Oh my god.
And then like that's about the worst pain I ever been in my life. And so he took me to the ER, and then like this was the day before the 4th of July too.
Oh no, that's even worse.
July 3rd, bro. I was supposed to be up at Tahoe partying and stuff.
Yeah.
Day before the 4th of July. And so like they get me to the ER, and and like every doctor's out of town, dude. They're like, okay, so we're just gonna splint your ass up. Pretty sure you tore your patella. You definitely broke your ankle. We're just gonna split you up. Here's some pain pills. And then we'll schedule it for surgery in a few days when everybody's back. Because not only was it like July 3rd, but it was July 3rd, and it was on a Friday.
Yeah.
So like the 4th was a Saturday, right? Yeah. So like, yeah, man. So, then I go home, and then, not being able to walk was like, it was rough, because I've been in the fitness industry now for 20 years, 19 years. And like so much of my identity was wrapped up in being the strong dude, right? The guy with big muscles and, like the man's man and shit, and being able to, feeling like women are attracted to you because of that stuff. And, that's one of the things that gives you value as a person. And all of a sudden going from being the, athlete and the strong trainer and like, the muscular guy, the like I guess you would call like alpha. Like, I feel like it's really, really fucking stupid to call yourself an alpha, but like that type of like mindset, right?
No, for sure. For sure.
To all of a sudden not being able to walk, that shit shatters everything. You're like, I remember being there thinking to myself, like, not only did I lose to a girl at basketball, not only, but
which isn't a bad thing, by the way. Girls are.
No, yeah, like a lot of. I'm sure there's a lot of girls that could dominate me at basketball. Like, so that's not it was to this particular girl that I lose to her. but now I can't fucking walk, man. And like most of the stuff that gave me value as a person, I'm like, well, shit, dude, like what, would be lonely, like it's pretty hard to get laid when you can't walk too, like
Facts, facts.
Like you definitely have to have some game, which like, I thought that I had game up until then, but that like, you
Mentally
realize
though, yeah, you feel like you don't.
yeah.
And I think that brings up a good point. Maybe not everybody has had as an embarrassing as injury as you, Mr. Straker, but there's so many people who have that, because look at you now. You're able to walk again. You're squatting, you're hitting legs, and you're succeeding with that. But so many people, maybe you got in like a car crash, or maybe it was a sports injury, or doing whatever, right? There's tons of different ways to get hurt. And some people just like, live with it. Like, this happened to me. I'm never going to be the same. I'm never going to have that same, body. I'm never going to be able to do the same things that I wanted to. They live with that. Right. And so, but in all reality, obviously, like, you persevered through it, and you had the fortitude. As you can see right here, if you're watching this video, patience and fortitude, they conquer all things, as well as having the right plan, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, and I think, I think a lot of people get stuck. I mean, so many of the people that we talk to, because it seems like, like rarely are we ever meeting someone who it's the first time they decided to get in shape, it's always, people have always tried the move more, eat less approach, and the eating 6 times a day and eating breakfast and low fat and doing a ton of cardio and classes and all this other stuff, and every diet and Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig and all these different things.
Everything. Right?
Yeah. And so like it leaves people in a spot where, they feel like they're stuck. They feel like there's no hope. Nothing will work, and I think that that's how you can feel when you get hurt, is like nothing will work. Like a lot of people just I guess your back just hurts when you get older. I guess your hip is just what happens now,
Yep.
And it's not that, it's just that the years and years of, eating too many processed foods and, not sleeping enough and drinking too much booze and, and sitting at your desk a certain way, and you hurt your ankle when you're younger, so now you've walked differently after that, or maybe you had a surgery, you broke your leg and became imbalanced. All these different, repetitive movements and poor habits, they leave you in a spot where you're just kind of like fucked up and you feel like there's no hope, and it's important to understand that there's always a pathway back, you just have to number one, you got to learn from your past mistakes. Just because something didn't work in the past doesn't mean that nothing's ever going to work. It just means that, what you didn't work, motherfucker. Now do something different, right?
Yeah. That's a hard thing to accept for a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
And even just having the desire to try something new, people are kind of scared to get out of their comfort zones a little bit. But everybody knows all progress comes from being outside of your comfort zone on a personal scale. So I think that's what kind of gets people that hesitation as well, is, I've never done that before. I don't really want to learn how to do it or whatever.
Yeah.
Little things like that.
Yeah. And isn't it crazy how that shit changes too, man? Like over time.
Yeah, man. That's one thing I've learned. It's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned, is just that like all progress really does come out of your comfort zone, and doing it just gives you some sort of just feeling of this rush that's like, damn, I did that. Look at that. Like so you look back at those decisions and be like, wow, imagine if I didn't do that. Would I be here right now? Probably not, Whether it's just like, I don't know, anything, whether it's doing a new style of eating, a new type of workout, even just like moving to a new city, or doing a new passion, anything like that.
Asking that person you have a crush on out, like, whatever, bro, whatever fucking scares you, like, well, I always tell people, like, how many good things have ever happened in your life that didn't start with fear? right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like if you look at almost everything that's good that's happened to you, like a life-changing thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of them began with being scared shitless, whether it's
Yeah.
like falling in love, whether it's having your first kid, you like, whether
Yeah.
it's starting a business or quitting a job or, or whatever it is, like it all starts with fear. And a lot of times with this stuff too, like I think people get afraid to get their hopes up too,
Dude,
right?
yeah, for sure.
About getting in shape. Like people, I think a lot of times people have been like, they get so amped up to like make a change. I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. I'm going to stop eating bullshit and I'm going to like get up off my butt and I'm going to go to the gym and maybe they see a little progress, but their plan sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then they don't get results. And then the next time, because once again, like we talked about earlier, people blame themselves rather than their plan. And it's funny because we wouldn't blame ourselves for like, if our job stopped paying us, we wouldn't like call ourselves a quitter because we quit our job that didn't pay us, right?
No, for sure.
But like people blame themselves when they don't, and then they go to get started again, and it's like, well, I failed before, so I'll probably fail this time, and then they like got their hopes up before and they weren't successful, and so it's like it's a little scary to get your hopes up again, to put yourself out there, right? And fucking stomach not succeeding again.
Totally. And yeah, it's kind of fear and uncertainty is like another word to go along with it. They kind of go hand in hand, obviously, but like even just like trying new things, it'd be like, you ask yourself, oh, like, what if it doesn't work for me? Oh, but what if it does? Right. What happens if it does? And doing that and getting over that hump, and, figuring out maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but how the hell are you going to know if you don't try it?
Yeah. Yeah. What's like the last thing that you did that you were really scared that you fucking took action on?
Dude, I think one of the biggest things was just moving down here. I live in Orange County. I've been kind of jumping all over the place for the last couple of years, but, I didn't know how I was gonna, I didn't really have a plan coming down here, but, it's worked out and I've never been, happier somewhere. And it's little things like that to where kind of those instinctual decisions, are the best ones. And
right.
So I think that would be the most recent one for me. What about you?
Yeah, man. Well, like, I guess us taking action on the podcast, we've got this one, then we got our other one started off. And like, there is like, it's something I've been excited to do, but then there's also like, there's always just like a little bit of fear. Well, and maybe not, it's not even fear of like, is it going to suck?
Yeah.
Or can we not do this? But even just the small things like, oh, do we not have all the stuff that we need?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to be perfect. Is that not going to be perfect? And should we keep fucking putting it off until it is perfect on this or that? And like,
yeah.
And I think that's the thing is like, perfect doesn't exist, and like, how are you going to learn like what needs to get better and what you're going to have to change and what's going to work and what's going to not until you just start doing some shit.
Yeah, exactly. We've been talking about this for a while, right?
Yeah.
Probably late last year, late 2018. It's been in the talks. Hey, Brandon, we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
We should start a podcast. And it just kind of fell through the cracks. And so like, it's something that we've learned as well. It's not like, we're perfect or anything like that. We want to, and so, we don't have the best setups right now, but we're having fun. We hope we're providing value for those of you listening, and that's the most important part,
Right. And it builds a shit ton of momentum, right? When you do some shit that scares you, like the momentum that you get off that, how charged up you feel after you've done it and stuff. And it's like, finally, I did that,
Yeah.
Even if you suck at it, like the momentum that you get from it, like, hell, like we've all, gone and just epically failed at some stuff, but then it's like, dude, I actually did that,
Yeah.
Like we've all gone and like got shot down by a girl at a bar, but you're like, oh, I went up and like,
I did it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, or I failed at like this endeavor or that endeavor, or the video I made sucked, or the content that I put out wasn't well received, and then when it is, But that's the crazy part too, is when you've been putting some shit off and then all of a sudden, and then it's good.
Yep.
or it is well received, it's like, man, like why was I not taking action
Why
on
did
it?
I wait so long to make that decision? No, for sure.
And we hear that from people all the time with fitness too. Is like they're always saying like my biggest regret is like why I didn't do this so much sooner.
Dude, that I think that's the thing that kind of leaves me with so many questions. And, we've kind of touched on maybe the reason why people feel like this, but it's just like, maybe just now is not the right time for me to do
Right.
something new, or like, I've got this event coming up in 3 to 4 weeks. Maybe I'll start after that.
Right.
And I think that's one of just like the most bullshit excuses I have ever heard in my life.
Totally.
There's always going to be something coming up, no matter when you do it. There's always something that you can say, I'll do it after this. But
Right.
that's such bullshit, man. Like, you have no more time than today to make a change. Like,
Right.
that's what blows my mind. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, we all get what's a priority, right? And so, I think because I've had real bad habits at times, and I've had good habits.
Yeah.
I've put shit off, and I've taken action on stuff. And I think like number one, there's some real science behind it. Like when like with our brain, like we get into these comfort zones, and like whatever is different from like your self-image, how you view yourself, the norm. There's like a little bit of fear, even if it's something that doesn't make logical sense to be afraid of. Your brain tries to keep you at the status quo, right? So you try not to never get too far away from that in a negative way, or too far ahead of that in a positive way.
Exactly.
Like we talk about it, how our brain, like our self-image is kind of like a thermostat, and if we, like if we get too hot, like the thermostat kicks on and cools it down. You get too cold, the thermostat kicks on and heats it up.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes for a lot of people, so like if they get in too good a shape, or they make too much money, maybe they'll start to self-sabotage and go back to where their self-image views them at. Or if they get too fat, or too broke, or too, lonely, or whatever, then they, kick, that thermostat kind of kicks stuff on, and they get back to where they're hovering at. But that place, that self-image, isn't necessarily where they want to be, where their goal is.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so I think when it comes to putting stuff off, like number one, that action may be an action that's not in alignment with like a person's self-image or who they believe they are, and so that can be something that pulls them back. And then that combined with like, like the whole, thinking that there's going to be a right time, like that's and you hit the nail on the head there. Is like people, we tell these lies to ourselves, like there's eventually going to be a perfect time for whatever things they're a perfect time to be happy, a perfect time to get in shape, a perfect time.
Like the opportunity will come to them rather than somebody having to go out and do that.
Yeah.
Honestly, that thermostat metaphor was just, very impressive, man. I hope to one day just come up with metaphors like that.
Dude, that wasn't my metaphor, bro. I want to take credit for it, but it definitely wasn't. I forget where I heard it. It might have been like, it was probably like some Anthony Robbins shit or something like.
You probably just came up with it on the spot like that.
And I think he might have got it from me if I'm remembering.
Probably. I mean, you just take the credit for it now.
Yeah, he's been watching from like rumor has it, he's been watching a lot of our content on
Reset You,
on YouTube, and he's been, and I don't want to call it stealing, I don't want to say he's been stealing from us, but borrowing.
He's borrowing, yeah.
And,
which is understandable, dude. I mean, we have some pretty awesome content, like,
and we're generous guys. We allow people to borrow, borrow. Go ahead, pay our gift to you.
So if anyone out there wants to use that thermostat metaphor in your life, you can borrow it. It's cool. Just remember where you heard it. And if you're one of those people that's listening to this and is waiting for that right time to make a change, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to leave a link. We actually offer a free call here at Reset You where we can kind of help dial you in and give you kind of the steps that you need in order to get on track. So we'll leave that link wherever you leave links on these. It's our first podcast. I don't know where I'm going to leave the link, but it's going to be somewhere, right?
It's probably going to be below,
Probably below.
It'll be below something, that's for sure.
That's typically where links are left, is below. So
yeah,
you can check it out. Yeah.
But man, that's a I don't know. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, we should wrap it up. I had a great time doing this. I think this was an epic first podcast here at Reset University.
In the history of all first podcasts, this might be like top 30 or 40, probably.
Yeah, probably at least.
Which is a good percentage. That's easily top 98 percentile.
Yeah.
And I think we're being humble there too, which I hope everybody appreciates.
Exactly. And, if you tuned into the whole thing, thank you. We appreciate you. Leave some comments below on probably below. Comments are probably below with the link, right?
Yeah.
Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you have any questions, of course. And if you think this is going to build value to someone else, share it. Share it to your friends. Send it to someone else. We want to genuinely help as many people as we can. So on that note, Brandon, congrats on our first podcast.
Yeah, congrats. I mean, you brought it today, man. You did a hell of a job.
No, you brought it. You brought it today.
You know what? You're right. You're right. I'm not going to disagree with you, motherfucker.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. You shouldn't.
All right, everybody.
Tune in for the second podcast. Subscribe to us wherever you subscribe. We'll get this stuff down. All right. Take it easy.